And so I want to take it back even further, because there is kids that walk in your footsteps where they feel like, you know what, I've handled this anxiety and depression. I've tried every single thing, including God, and you have. But some people want to take their life, and they just feel like they've given it their all. And I know that that's something that's tough that you dealt with. And I would really like to dive into that if you don't mind, and if you're comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That battle of like wanting to take my life was a hidden battle no one knew about. Like I shared it with my mom like a few months ago, and she was just kind of like shocked because
You never know.
You never know,
you
but like
never
that's the reality. Like you don't know. Like you just don't know when someone's feeling that way or going through that. And so after I had that experience with my grandfather and things like that, I would try to talk about Jesus because I felt like this responsibility after I made that video and all these people were like, tell me more, tell me more. And so I would just like share what I was learning in school for 2 weeks and then just completely stop talking about God and was doing my own thing. And because I didn't have a relationship with him, like it wasn't important to me. It was just, oh, I got to do this because people are asking me about it. And it wasn't genuine. So you can't fake it. I couldn't fake it for 2 weeks. It was just, I tried and I couldn't. And that's just honest. Like I tried to fake it. And so after that, just spiraled back in, even though that like just powerful like moment with God and release with my grandfather, it was just still anxiety and depression. And that stuff just feels like an incurable disease. And I think the biggest
really
lie,
high highs and really low lows.
Yep.
Is nauseating. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, the highs aren't even worth it. I don't want this anymore.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
It's just like the only way you feel like you can get rid of the pain is if you take your own life, because it's like, it's miserable right now. That's the lie. It's like, you're never going to get over this. So if you take your life, the pain's going to go away. And that was just the lie I was believing.
Yeah. It's a dark lie. Sometimes the lies even are like, it's better off without you.
Right.
And sometimes you feel like you're doing other people a favor.
Right.
And that's crazy, man.
So crazy.
It's crazy. I'm so grateful you didn't. But let's talk about why, because that is God showing favor more than I've ever. And I want people to see a man like you, because like we see so many people sit on stage that are passionate about God and they want to hide all of their problems. But the truth is, if we hid Paul's problems, if we hid Simon's problems, if we hid all of these people's problems, we wouldn't be able to see God's glory. And there's a lot coming from you. So let's take it back to Waffle House.
Yeah.
I want you to paint me how you felt.
Yeah. It was on Christmas, December 25th, 2020. I'll never forget the date. It was just buildup of anxiety and depression over the years. And I had thoughts of taking my own life. But I felt like Christmas that day, interactions with friends and family that day just weren't the best. And I struggled with feeling loved. And I was like, this is the most unloved I felt on like a day where you give gifts and it's like the season of giving. And I'm like, this isn't cool. And it's like, you have the thoughts of like, oh, maybe I'm going to do it, like contemplation. But I was like, this is the day where I'm going to do it. Like I'm fed up and I'm just tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of feeling unloved. Maybe it's better if I'm not here. Maybe the anxiety and depression will go away. Like, I don't know. And so after we got done doing Christmas with our families or whatever, we came home. I love Waffle House. Waffle House is my favorite restaurant on the planet, hands down. And it was the only thing open on Christmas. Like if Waffle House is shut down, like the world's actually ending. Like they're always open. Like they never ever close. And so I knew it was open, and I just told my parents. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go get Waffle House for a snack. But deep down, I like set it. I had everything set. Like I was set. I had. Am I allowed to get detailed? Or like how detailed?
However comfortable you are.
I just like wrote letters. I had like letters to my family and stuff like that. And like I had like a note with like password on my phone and just where stuff was, voice memos, like all this other stuff. And then my grandfather, when I was young, my other grandfather, he used to carry this knife called a hawk's bill knife. And it literally, the blade kind of looks like an eagle's beak. Like it just kind of curves and it's like a thick blade. And he had given one to me. And so I had it. And so my plan was just to take my life with that knife, really.
It's a brutal way to go out.
Brutal. But
Were you punishing yourself? Were you angry with yourself? Is that why you chose that type of like way?
I don't think I didn't really like, I wasn't like trying to punish myself. I wasn't like, oh, I'm just trying to go out painful. I think I was just like, it was accessible.
You didn't know any other
It
way.
wasn't obvious. Like, it was in my nightstand. It was just like, I can do this quick and no one's going to question anything. Like, I'm just going to do it. And so I went to Waffle House to kind of get like my last meal and run away from my problems. I walk in, slam packed. Everybody's there. And I you know, if you struggle with anxiety or depression, even when you have a hard day, sometimes you just don't want to be around people. Sometimes you just kind of want to be alone. And I walk into the busiest restaurant, Waffle House, I've ever seen in my life. And I knew that because I was there alone, I wouldn't get to sit at a booth or anything. And so I grabbed this random guy, like 30-something years old, and I'm like, hey, I'll pay for your meal if you sit with me. I'm just trying to eat right now. And he's like, okay. So we sit down pretty quick. And as soon as we sit down, he starts dumping his life problems on me. And that has nothing to do with Jesus. Just my wife's divorcing me. This is my last time with the kids. She's taking the kids from me, taking my money. I got nothing left. I'm losing it. Last Christmas with our family, just going. And I'm like sitting there just thinking, you have no idea what I'm about to do, dude. And you're complaining to me about like your family situation and this and that. And I'm thinking like, I'm about to go home and make a decision that I can't revoke. And you're sitting here complaining about this. That's what's going through my brain. I'm like weighed down, sad, like eye bags, like sad, like my eyelids just sagging, not because I'm tired, because I'm just.
You think it's your last day?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is really it. And he's just talking, and I'm just trying to eat my all-star special. I'm just like, get me out of here. Like, I want to.
It's crazy, and I make jokes because I deflect, but it's the perfect storm. You know what I'm saying? It's the perfect storm. So please continue.
So he's just talking. I'm hearing some, not hearing everything, just kind of in my own lane. And then I just hear him say, I love my wife. She doesn't feel the same about me. There's no growth in a relationship if the love isn't mutual. And when he said that, it was just like an arrow struck my heart. And all of that head knowledge I had about Jesus was just flashing in my brain. Scriptures I'd heard. When I was growing up in church, I would memorize the verse of the week so I could get a prize out of the treasure box. All these scriptures I'd memorized when I was a little kid, flashing through my brain. Stuff I'd learned in school, flashing through my brain. The gospel finally making sense to me. Like all these things, just supernatural understanding of like who God is, because he said there's no growth in a relationship if the love isn't mutual. And I went, man, I must have felt like God didn't love me because he was pursuing me and I wasn't even giving him a chance to love him back. And I never experienced any growth in that relationship because I just didn't have love for him. And so I couldn't experience his love because I just wasn't even giving my heart a chance to open up for it. I wasn't giving my chance to like receive it. And so I'm like sitting there having this, it felt like the whole world stopped. And I'm like, I like literally feel, I've never felt this before. I literally feel the feeling I felt right now when I was sitting there, like just so real. Like I just like feel so bad. Like when people message me or like when people like talk to me in person, they say like, man, like I just want to like take my own life. Cause sometimes when people say that and like, oh, they'll say that to people and sometimes people don't understand, but like, it's just real, so real feeling. And after I have this moment, I just kind of freak out because I've never felt anything like it. I've never experienced anything like it. So I just kind of like throw money on the counter, like to pay for the meal. And I just like walk out and he's freaking out. People are freaking out because they're like, this random guy, like blow up, like something happened. And I like went in my car and I was just like, God, if you're real, take away my anxiety and depression. Because deep down, like, I really don't want to do this right now. Like, I don't. And I was just like, if you're real, take away my anxiety and depression. And, like, since that day, sitting here, no more anxiety or depression. And that was, like, my cracked door to just, like, get in the way of, like, man, God, like, you got to be real. And so instead of taking my life, I gave my life to somebody who wanted it. And so that's why I want to tell people about Jesus, not because I'm not trying to, like, run up my cards of like, you gave your life to Jesus today, check the box, give it to me so I can run up my stats so I look good. Like I don't care about that. Like I got transformed from something that felt incurable. And because of that, like I want to share that opportunity with people.
That line you said was, I didn't want my life, so I gave it to someone that wanted it. Man.
It is such an incredible testimony, and it just speaks so loudly on like how pure like your soul is. Like when we met you yesterday, I was like, damn, dude, like you're just so genuine, and your heart is so beautiful. And it's the fact that you were going through all that, and the second that you were saved by Jesus, the first thing you wanted to do is bring everybody else to him. And it just speaks louder than anything.
How does it feel being where you're at right now?
I just never thought this was real, you know, like feeling loved. Like it just doesn't feel real to me sometimes, you know, like all I just wanted to feel was loved. Like I was just, everyone's on a quest for love, and I was going to cut my journey short. And like just moments before, like God just stepped in, and I'm like, I'm so grateful, like so thankful. And